Welcome to Successful Living with Bill Napick. Every week, we talk with interesting people in a variety of professions for ideas to enhance your success in all aspects of life. Successful Living with Bill Napick starts right now. Here's Bill Napick.
Welcome to the show. It is Successful Living with Bill Napick. I am Bill Napick, and today, Successful Living with Judine Dekel. She is the president of Texas Floor Coverings. In addition, we have Sean Harvey. He's the senior managing director at Lee & Associates. We're going to talk about commercial real estate and who knows what else as the show begins right now. First of all, Judine, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
Well, you brought Sean here, and he's doing tremendous work in the commercial real estate world. We're going to find out more about that, but let's tell people a little bit how you brought Sean onto the show.
Well, I've known Sean for at least 20 years, and as long as I've known him, he's always been in commercial management, and he's always been in upper management. So I wanted to bring him on to ask him, how did you get to that upper management? You know, what steps did you take, and how long have you been in the industry?
And we're going to find out right now. Hey, Sean, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here, both of you. I started in their industry actually out of college. Graduated with a degree in accounting and finance. And I moved to Chicago shortly after I graduated. And back then, we didn't have internet to find a job, so you opened up a newspaper. And there was a lot of pages for accounting jobs, so I applied to 10 accounting jobs. And the third one I interviewed for, they made me an offer for a big real estate company out of Chicago. I did that for about 4 years and didn't like the monotonous of accounting. And several of the accountants that worked with me said, you know, you talk a lot.
You're definitely a people person.
Yeah. And they said,
the talking accountant.
That's right.
That was the first maybe in Chicago at that time.
It was like, you're kind of distracting the rest of us, right? Like, we're trying to do our job and you're trying to talk. I said, yeah, I've thought about maybe doing something different. Mm-hmm. And one of them said, well, I know someone that's looking for an assistant property manager. And they want someone with accounting background and CPA. And so I applied and they hired me. And so that's when I got into property management. So I was in Chicago, downtown, high-rise office building built in 1914.
Wow, nice.
So got to find out a lot of interesting things. We don't have buildings like that here in Houston. They're that old. So it was a little different, but it was quite a bit of fun. Worked for some very strong managers that had worked for some bigger companies. And first one I worked for was his kind of retirement going out, and he had actually managed some very, very large buildings, very large portfolios. Learned a lot. Worked for a second gentleman named Mike, and he'd also worked for some bigger portfolios. And so got to learn a lot.
Was that all in about a couple of years?
I was an accountant for just over 3 years, and then I went into property management, and I was there for about four and a half years. And my wife at the time said, I don't like snow anymore. And so she said, you can either stay, but I'm leaving. And so I left.
Daddy jumped on a plane and moved to Texas.
So I said, well, find a place that has big buildings and we can move there. She found a job in Houston, Texas. And so I said, great. We were both originally from Dallas. And so moved down to Houston, Texas in 2000, just over 20 years ago, and met Judine, like she said, right after I got here. Yeah. Judine, by the way, was about 15 at the time.
That's right. So, yes, I do remember that. And you were in upper management when I got there. So when you went there, did you start in upper management or did you start out as a property manager?
When I moved actually to Houston, I don't think I met you right when I moved. I was at Brookfield, which back then was called Trizic, downtown. And I was assistant property manager. And I was there for about 3.5 years. And then I moved out to the suburbs as a property manager for about 9 months, and they promoted a senior property manager because they needed someone to lead over there, and the person that was leading left like right after I came in. So that's when I think we met.
Yeah, I think
so. That was about 2004, 2005. So
yeah, because you had already had managers under you at that time.
Yes, I did. And so I moved very quickly over property management. I was not a property manager for very long. Just right place, right time. Good thing was I was, very active in IREM, Institute of Real Estate Management, and active in BOMA. And so when I got in that position and didn't know what I didn't know, I had a lot of network. And so I learned very quickly building a network was very, very important in this industry. So
those are two awesome organizations, if you want to mention that again.
I'm active in BOMA, building
Owners and Management Association.
Thank you. I know IREM way better because
Yeah.
I'm very active in IREM. I'm actually in the national board for IREM, but IREM is Institute of Real Estate Management. And so both those are very good commercial property management organizations.
Tons of classes and all kinds of things that you can learn there, networking.
Good vendors.
Of course, the best.
Like Texas floor covering.
Texas
floor
right?
That's right.
Well, let's tell people, as far as in case they're not familiar with Lee and Associates, Sean, let's tell them about your company, what they do here in Houston, and then your role with the company.
So Lee and Associates is actually a now international company. We just opened up some offices in Canada. I'm going to guess this. I think there's like 74 offices. I know we're in the 70s. I don't remember exactly. It seems like we open a new office about every 2 months. So it's about 72, 75 offices. Houston was opened up with my business partner, Chris Lewis, about 8 years ago. And they started the Lee and Associates Houston flag office here. He had a gentleman, other partner, is Mike Spears, joined him about a year later. Chris started originally with about 7 brokers and a couple of support staff. Mike brought over another 10 or 12. They went to about 20 at that point.
Wow.
Today, I think we have 45 brokers on that side. 3 years ago, just a little over 3 years ago, Chris and Mike and myself got together and decided they wanted to be full service. And so I came over to bring over the rest of management, construction management, development, accounting. And we started that in September 1st of 2019. And we've grown it ever since, and it's been phenomenal.
It's on fire. I even asked you a while back if we could buy stock because it was just going so far.
Yeah, it's a great ride. We've been very blessed. I'd like to say it's all my natural ability, but I know it's not.
Just 80%.
There you go, about 80%. There you go. I'll take 80%, right? I think a lot of it's just right place, right time, and just being faithful in there and making sure that you go in the right direction and taking care of people. So I think the biggest thing is, we just try to be honest and take care of our people, which then take care of our clients. And then we get a good reputation out of it.
And as far as your role, Sean, what are the things that you're doing day to day in the role of managing partner there at Lee and Associates?
My biggest role is stay out of the way. And that's what I try to do best is
a lot of training for that too, right?
there is. And that's not always easy to do. No, it's not very easy to do all the time.
I agree.
But yeah, I try to be there to support my senior people, really is what I do. And then a lot of mine is development. So going out and meeting with current clients, meeting with new clients, and then just staying active in the community, making sure that on the higher level, the organization's running in the right direction. One of our big things that Chris and I and Mike make sure we always do is we like to take care of our people, right? So we want to make sure that everybody's being taken care of, whether it's individually or as a group. And so a lot of what I do is making sure that we're achieving that.
And I think you are, because I've talked to managers and construction managers, and everybody seems to be very happy there.
We try, and we try to listen. Not that we'd always do a great job of it, but we try to do our best. So when people come to us and say, hey, I think we have a way to do something better, the nice thing is we don't have, a bureaucracy that I have to run up 3 people to get it approved. We just say, all right, that sounds like a great idea. Let's try that. If it doesn't work, we can revert back to what we were doing before.
So you listen.
Yeah,
listen
I think
to your
that's,
employees.
Yeah, we try to listen to them. We also pride ourselves if someone, during COVID, we had people that, it was not as much known, obviously, in the beginning, and people didn't know you have to be on 10 days, 15 days, 4 days, what it was. And some people got it really bad. Some people didn't get it very bad. And we had people that ended up at home. We had one family where both the parents got COVID, right? And so you're like, what do you do? Because you can't go to the grocery store. You can't go do anything, right? And they had kids. And so the firm sent them food every day. So to make sure their family was fed.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's just kind of stuff we try to do to make sure that we take care
of your people.
Well, as far as the marketplace right now, we know there's residential real estate, and sometimes people, in terms of at least watching TV shows and things like that, there's not a lot of shows about commercial real estate. So as far as the marketplace right now in Houston, Texas, commercial real estate, we hear that there's companies, people moving here all the time, at least for the past couple of years. How's the marketplace in the commercial world right now?
So that's very true. Houston is one of the top cities of influx of people. So we are getting a lot of people coming in, a lot of companies coming in, which is great for commercial and residential. On the commercial side, during COVID, everybody went home, right? And so everybody was terrified that no one's going to come back to the offices.
We'll never need buildings again.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
not true.
Everybody working from home, taking their computers home.
Yes. And
So-
we had owners that we work for and ourselves get a little nervous, right? Whoa, we own a bunch of
You
expensive
and every property
real estate.
manager in town was nervous about
Yeah,
that.
and more the owners, right? Because they're the ones that actually have the money on the line,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so they have a $30 million building that. What am I going to do with it if people don't come back? Good thing is people started coming back. Took a little while. It's interesting too because we've talked to people that still have their employees working from home, and a lot of them are 3 days on, 3 days in the office, 2 days at home, or 2 days in the office, 3 days at home, or some
Is that still
of the
going
variation.
on? You're saying
Yeah,
that's still
quite a
going
bit.
on? Wow.
But it's interesting because it doesn't mean they have less real estate because those people still want a desk and they don't want to share the desk, right? So the majority of people we've talked to that are doing that, every employee still has a desk. So if they have 200 employees before COVID and they still have 200 employees, they still have the same amount of 200 desks. And so there may not be as many people in the building, which actually helps on the management side keep expenses down because I'm not having 200 people every day flushing toilets and washing hands, and I know it's small amounts, but it adds up. 200, there's if only 100 of them are there, then only 100 laptops are turned on, only 100 monitors, which then decreases electricity. So it does help on the operating expense side, not tremendously, but a little bit, which always helps everything. But the office market is still, pretty okay right now. It took a dip during COVID, and everybody kind of froze, and people didn't sell or buy, and people weren't really doing leases, and leases that rolled. They kind of just said, "Can we do a 1 year, 2 year deal? I don't want to do a 5 or 7 year deal because I don't know what's going to happen."
Which is typical because I usually sign a 7-year lease. So
Yeah, and so but when you're nervous, you're not going to be in business in 2 years. You don't want to sign a 7-year lease, and so we had a lot of that. But now people are starting to come back out and do leases and such, and the office market is starting to get a little stronger. It definitely took a dive during COVID, and ironically, industrial boomed all through COVID.
it did.
Oh, they were
Prices went up tremendously. I couldn't believe it.
I'm sure you guys were busy
yeah.
on the industrial side.
Yes.
So let's define that, though, as far as industrial side. For people listening, the first category was the office buildings that we're talking about, right?
Yeah, like high-rise office buildings like we're sitting in.
And
yeah.
then industrial, I have an idea what that means, but let's define that a little bit better.
Yeah, so there's really like 3 levels of industrial. There's distribution, right? So that's the Amazons, right? So
Yeah, they got a big place, too.
Huge.
they got several of them, several
Huge.
big
I want
places.
to tour
One of your
day.
ex-managers is managing them.
Yeah, they are, and that's a
So
big one.
distribution, there's one, yeah.
So that's usually single tenant, right? You have warehouse, which is they can do operational. So distribution pretty much is like storage, right? They're bringing stuff, taking stuff out. It's a lot of trucks going in and out. Usually you have to have dock high, unload and load trucks all day long. That's all they're doing pretty much. Warehouse, they do some of that, but they're also got some manufacturing going on in there and such also. And then you have flex. Flex is mostly mom and pop, but not always. It's more of a little office in the front, warehouse in the back. So the guy that owns is an electrician and has 10, 15 employees and does maintenance electrician, and he needs a lot of parts, so he has them in the back, but needs an office in the front so he can have his accountant up there and salespeople, whatever.
Very little flooring for me.
Yes, very little flooring for you. Yeah, those are the guys that want 1,000 square feet,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So that's a flex, and so that's the industrial side of it. We kind of saw a lot of warehouse going up, quite a bit more than normal flex going up, but mostly warehouse. The most popular thing I think we saw that I heard was the 5,000 to 7,000 square foot warehouse buildings. A lot of them popped up, especially in the north side, off of 290, up in the Woodlands and Spring, out by the airport. There was developers going in, buying a 10, 15 acres and throwing up a bunch of these 5,000, 7,000 square footers and selling them off one at a time to individuals. That market is slowing a little bit right now, but it's still pretty good. But the market in general is about 95% occupied. So it's still doing pretty strong.
So right now, the industrial market, we'll call it, is pretty good.
Yes, it is. Pretty good. Office is stabilized more. Retail, ironically, during COVID, obviously went to halt, right? Had a lot of people close shop. And as soon as COVID was over and the governor said, everybody go back to work, it just boomed. I mean, the rates went up significantly than they were prior to COVID.
We're talking with Sean Harvey with Lee and Associates and Judene Deacle, the president of Texas Floor Coverings. Right here, we're going to take a short break and come right back. Stay with us, please. As we move from room to room, building to building, business to business, we are walking on floors of some type at all times. At Texas Floor Covering, we are there to serve you since 1989, helping you, whether you're an architect, designer, building manager, general contractor, a sports arena, government agency. We are there for your commercial flooring needs. Texas Floor Covering. Give us a call at 713-862-2444. That's 713-862-2444. Our website is texasfloorcovering.com. That's texasfloorcovering.com. Check us out. We are here for you, Texas Floor Covering. As we continue with Sean Harvey and Judene Deacle. Judene, Sean's a great guest. We're learning so much already in a short period of time about commercial real estate. What else we want to talk to Sean about?
You know, there's just several different lease options. I know because I've been a leaser for 30 years, something about maybe the triple net lease or the different options on leasing.
Yes, yeah, so in the commercial world, there's two primary kinds of leases. There's a gross lease, there's a triple net lease. And so generally in retail, most of your industrial and your higher end office, you're using triple net. And the reason we use gross leases a lot of times is mainly in the smaller office buildings, the less expensive office buildings where you're going to have the smaller companies. And a lot of it is because it's easier to understand. So on a gross lease, basically what you have is if you walk in, they tell you that the rent is $20. The rent is $20. That's what you're going to pay every. So if you get 1,000 square feet, it's $20,000 a year. Now it does step for operating expense adjustments and some adjustments year to year, but in general it's about $20. It stays fairly flat.
So like the escalations at the end of the year, you'd pay the difference for that.
Yeah, there's a little bit, but it's not terrible. Like if you have a good management company like Lee and Associates, then usually they'll stay pretty flat, right?
Okay.
That's the goal, is to keep them so that you're not sending these little tenants big bills, right? Because if you send a tenant 1,000 square foot tenant a bill at the end of the year that's $2,000 or $3,000, they're going to get pretty upset, right? Because they usually run a little bit tighter than some big corporations. On a triple net, you actually have the two components of what's built into a gross broken out. And the two components of rent are true rent, how much am I paying for the space I'm in, and then how much am I paying for the operating expenses to run the building that I'm in. And so the way it works in all commercial real estate is operating expenses are paid for by the tenants, and they can be paid either directly in the rate or they can be paid outside the rate. So on a triple net, go back to the same situation. Say the operating expenses in the building the person's going into are $10 a square foot. So to run that building, for the utilities, to maintenance it, to security, to janitorial, to making sure your lights are on, costs $10 a square foot to do that. And so if you're paying $20, the way that they broke it out is they say, okay, you're going to pay $10, that's your rent, and then you're going to pay all operating expenses. And the reason that they do that is if operating expenses are $9, right, and we had a year where maybe the taxes went down on the property taxes, then you save some money, they only pay $9. And the next year they go back up, and by the way, we're in a situation like we are now where electricity is very expensive, and they go up to $11.50. The landlord is not stuck paying the difference of the $1.50.
Right. Or if you have to replace the roof or some unseen maintenance.
Yeah, the bigger ticket items like that are usually at capital. But yeah, it protects both sides. And so a larger tenant, corporate tenant that understands it, likes it, because if the company, the management company and the owner can save money and beat whatever is budgeted, then they actually get a refund.
Yeah. And we did that at our the taxes went down in our building and we actually got a refund the first 7 years that we were there, but after that, no.
Not anymore. They keep going up and up and up. Yeah. All of a sudden, HCAD's like, wait a minute, we need to make more money, and the way you make more money is you go out and get more taxes, whether you're a local government or a big government, you got to raise taxes, right? So, that's why a lot of people like you. I mean, you get a little refund check, you're pretty happy. And so, we try to generally. That's what we try to do when we're managing buildings. Is we like to give the tenants a little refund, even when you're a big company. They like getting a little refund check versus getting a bill, right? And so that's just what you strive to do on the management side.
And that's called, in many cases, exceeding expectations, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's a great thing because it does, having the customer be happy in any field that we are in, that is so important. In a company that enables those things, that's tremendous.
Very much. Yeah. It's like you said, everybody likes to under promise and over deliver, right?
There you go. Let me ask you this. As far as people that are out there and are interested in real estate, there's a lot of people out there that have homes that they rent or have whatever. But as far as the differences, if there are any, as far as property management in the residential and in your field, in the commercial world, what are some of the differences? Let's say I'm in the residential world and all of a sudden I open up a business and I might be familiar with renting out a home or something like that. But now I'm in the commercial world and I want to rent that 1,000 square foot or 2,000 square foot unit to open up my, motorcycle shop or whatever I have. And I'm selling motorcycles and I'm fixing them in the back. What are some of the considerations that I might not be aware of in that commercial world as far as leasing out a place?
Well,
if there's any.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it goes down to there's different ways everything's maintained, and it's the way the lease is written. And I can tell you, I've seen a lot of leases during my time, and they're all very, very different. And so it's interesting because the 1,000 square foot guy doing the motorcycle shop just says, "Well, how much is my rent?" Right? Oh, I got 1,000 square feet. My rent's $20. That's what I need. Sign the lease. But they don't generally read the rest of it until something bad happens. And then they get a letter from property management that says, nope, that's your responsibility. And they're like, what do you mean replacing the AC unit up on top of here? That's going to cost $20,000 is my responsibility. I didn't read that in my lease. Rent. Well, if you go to section 40A, it says you're responsible for the air conditioning.
And so, there's real estate lawyers out there. I've hired real estate lawyers to read my lease because sometimes it is very confusing. So, and they're out there, and for $150, $200, you can get somebody to read that lease for you to help negotiate it even.
That's a good point. I mean, it's almost like an insurance policy. You see all that, and then when you start reading.
Just for a minimal amount.
And for that matter, I don't have time to read all those pages, or do I have the desire? But you really should.
No, yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, even if you spend $1,000 on an attorney, I mean, if you're going to sign a lease that you're going to be paying $60,000, $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 over 3 or 4 years, $1,000 is a pretty good investment. I mean, look, I know when I bought my house, I'm sure both of you did too, you went and had it inspected, right?
Yep.
Of course.
Yeah, and the inspector costs you $600-$700. That's okay. Like, I'd rather have an inspection that costs $600-$700 that comes back and says everything looks great than find out that I didn't do an inspection and it needs a new roof and a new water heater later.
Same as a title company.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think it's worth repeating what you brought forth, Judine, and that is hire someone to read it. If you don't want to read it, have them hire. It's not that big a deal, and have them explain it to you in layman's terms. So that way, surprises can be costly, and that way we're at least reducing the amount of surprises we're going to have.
Well, the next question I had for you is, you guys are growing so much. I mean, are you looking for help? Are you looking for administrators, property managers, assistant property managers? And then the other question is, if they come from the real estate side on the residential side, can they easily transition into a position with commercial real estate?
I'm constantly looking. We get resumes quite often, and if someone good comes across, we definitely interview them because we do pick up quite often. I mean, I literally this weekend got 2 requests. I have a meeting today with a new owner that wants us to take over their properties. So when that happens, I need to have people ready to go. And so we're constantly interviewing. Myself and my senior management are constantly interviewing people all the time, even if I don't need them right now. Because what I tell them in the interview is, I don't need you necessarily today, but I might be calling you in a week, 2 weeks, 30 days, 60 days when I do need you. And so we're constantly looking for good talent. We're very grateful and blessed that the people that work for us have generally stayed. The only people that really have left the industry. So we've had some people go work for the family company or or they decide they didn't really want to be in real estate anymore. They want to go try something different. But in general, most of them states. That's good. We've got a really, really, really strong, good team. But no, if someone's looking, I've hired people from all walks of life. I have a young lady who works for me right now that we hired that was working at a daycare, and she is an assistant property manager doing phenomenal. I've hired people that have been assistant managers at grocery stores, and so I don't think that it's something that you need to come out of college and go into. Matter of fact, most people in our industry will tell you they never even thought about going into commercial real estate coming out of college.
But you know what? It's a job that you'll have forever, and you can move to any city and get a job in commercial real estate. If you have some experience anywhere, if you want to move to Florida, you can find a commercial real estate company. There's always managers that are managing. They always need a whole team. So, once you get in that industry, I think it's an industry for life, and you can make pretty good money.
For sure. You can retire and go down to Florida and get a part-time job somewhere because someone's going to hire you if you've had commercial real estate
If you have experience, you're going to get a job.
Yeah.
So it's you're there for life.
Yep, for sure. And it's interesting too because I do have young people that coming out of college reach out to me and they want to talk about going into commercial real estate, and they would like to know, they know what they've learned in school, but obviously, like with almost any degree, what you learn in school, what you do in the real world, a little different. And so I've met with numerous amount of young people coming out of college, and most of them want to be brokers because they watch HGTV and they see these brokers
make a lot of money.
They're out making $10 million,
and it's
$20
real
million.
easy too.
Yeah. They don't realize that those guys making $10 million have been doing this for a long time, and they work 80, 90 hours a week, right? And so sometimes I explain to them, that's not always the best avenue. A lot of times the brokers coming out don't make hardly anything for a year or two because they're training and they're building.
Takes time.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's, and that's in all real estate. That's not just in commercial real estate. That's in residential. You got to learn and you got to build clientele, and that takes a little bit of time. It doesn't just happen overnight. My mother's in real estate. She's been doing it for 50 years, her whole life. And
she's in residential.
She's in residential. And it's interesting because I was asking her the other day, she's helping my sister who just had a baby. And I'm like, well, how do you find time? How do you find time? And thank you. And she said, well, I really don't work very much anymore. I'm like, really? And she said, well, I have all my clients. So, I have hundreds of clients, and there's always somebody moving, and they always call me. And so really, she said, I work 2 or 3 hours every morning, and that's about all I have to do.
Good for her.
Right. But she didn't get there overnight, right? It's 50 years and a lot of work, right? And so, but I think that's in every aspect of commercial and residential brokerage is you don't become a millionaire in 2 or 3 years. It takes a long time to make it to even 6 figures. And if you don't have the patience to do that, there's other avenues, property management, construction management, that you can make really good money at.
It is not easy.
I know it's a cutthroat business as well because I have people, I have my broker that I've had for a long time, and I have people knocking on my door. As soon as that lease is coming to term, I have people knocking on my door all the time, and I'm not going to switch. I mean, her and I taught a Bible study together, so I'm not leaving her. It is a cutthroat business out there, so...
Well, Sean, let's tell people, in case there is someone that wants to work at your company and reach out to you, first of all, let's tell them the company website is
LeeAndAssociatesHouston.com.
LeeAndAssociatesHouston.com. And if they want to give you a call, what's the number?
713-744-7400. 713-744-7400.
And in the commercial world, someone might be listening, Judine, that has 10,000 square feet of commercial flooring that they need. Let's tell them your website.
It's TexasFloorCovering.com. The phone number is 713-862-2444.
TexasFloorCovering.com. And we're going to talk about real estate, the interest in real estate, maybe explore the thing about real estate shows and the other things that makes us all fascinated with real estate. I know I've been since a young child, and I think many, maybe all three of us right here, and many of the people listening are excited about real estate, even though we're not in the market to lease a business or to buy a home. It's still just a fascinating thing. We're going to explore that in a little bit. But as we talk about, as you look for the right people, any business out there, we hear it in the restaurant world. We're hearing it in the last couple of years. I've heard it more than ever that it's hard to find good help, right? And to find that match, it's almost like being single, finding the right person, the right match. There's a lot of people out there looking for jobs. There's a lot of employers looking for people. But to find that right match, that's something very special. What are some of the things you think, Sean, as far as finding that right person, that compatibility, and just the right person for your company? What do you look for?
That's interesting because we actually interview with several people from my side when we have a candidate. And the reason being is that in particular, I want to make sure they're going to fit the team. So one thing we are very good about is running as a team. I know we have 30 people on the team, but they all interact together all the time. And so I want to make sure that they're going to be able to interact with the senior people on the team. And so we generally have the senior people interview anyone from admin to a property manager. We're going to have them interview them just to make that sure that really clicks and it's going to work. And there's many times I thought we had a phenomenal candidate, and I've had some of my people say, I just don't know if they're going to fit on the team very well. And that's great because I don't want that, right? So just because they're maybe a phenomenal person on paper, interview very well, have the background and the resources that we think would be great to be in our company, doesn't mean it's necessarily good for our company. But I don't also give up on that person either, because they may not be right for my team, doesn't mean they're right for somebody else's team. And so because I know a lot of people in the industry, I will put that out there to other people and say, if you're looking for someone, I have a very good candidate, they just don't fit well with my team, right? And so I try to, when it seems like a good person with good qualifications, and when I say good qualifications, this is not necessary, but obviously if someone has a real estate license, whether you're in management or well, obviously if you're in brokerage, you have to have one. But if you're in management, it's great to have a real estate license. A college degree is great to have, but you don't have to have one. Experience in the industry is great to have, but you don't have to have it. I've hired people that have none of those three, and they've been phenomenal. So a lot of times what I look for is just that someone that it seems like they have a drive to them, right? Like they're the person that's going to show up at 7:45 and be ready to go
Put the effort
at
in.
8 o'clock, right? And they're not the person that's looking at the clock waiting for it to turn to 5, right? Not that they don't go home at 5, but they're not watching the clock, right? They're watching to make sure they're getting done with what they need to get done for the day. So I'm kind of looking for that, more of the drive in them, and usually from talking to them, I can find out, do they have that? Like, what do they do outside of work, that kind of thing.
We're talking with Sean Harvey with Lee and Associates and Judine Deacle, Texas Floor Coverings. We're going to come back in just a little bit. Stay with us, please. As we move from room to room, building to building, business to business, we are walking on floors of some type at all times. At Texas Floor Covering, we are there to serve you since 1989, helping you, whether you're an architect, designer, building manager, general contractor, a sports arena, government agency. We are there for your commercial flooring needs. Texas Floor Covering. Give us a call at 713-862-2444. That's 713-862-2444. Our website is texasfloorcovering.com. That's texasfloorcovering.com. Check us out. We are here for you, Texas Floor Covering. Welcome back. We are with Sean Harvey with Lee and Associates and Judine Deacle with Texas Floor Covering. Sean, we were talking about, I want to hit this point, as far as we're talking about looking for the right person to be a part of your team, and other business owners that are out there looking for the right person. So important. As far as the people that you're looking for on your team, how many of them are interacting on a face-to-face basis with a customer?
Most of them. So obviously our accounting department doesn't really interact all the time face-to-face, but they even have a face-to-face time, especially like our controller and such with our clients, right? But definitely on the management, construction management side, engineering side, they all have face-to-face daily basis with tenants, vendors, clients all the time. More so really our engineers, which some people are sometimes surprised about. So a building engineer is the people that keep the physical building running. So in Houston, Texas, when it's 100 degrees outside, you do not want it to be 100 degrees inside. You want it to be 70, 72 degrees inside, so you're nice and cool. Well, that's the building engineers. Those are the guys that are making sure that
they're on the front lines.
Yeah, they're making sure you're comfortable. They're making sure that you're not sweating sitting at your desk. When something breaks, they're the guys up there trying to fix it. They're the guys trying to get the mechanical contractor to fix it. When the toilet stops working, they're the guys that make sure the toilet gets fixed. So those are the guys that keep the tenants in the building comfortable and happy. And so generally, if they're not comfortable and not happy, it's because the engineering's not doing their job as well as they should be. Not always the case. Sometimes it's just some old equipment. But those are the frontline guys. And with that being said, you see them quite often because when you say, hey, I'm hot, that's the guy that's going to show up in your office. And he's going to take a temperature in the office to see what the temperature is, and they're going to make the adjustments. And so those are the guys that really are going to see tenants on a daily basis. Managers, they interact more with the liaison for each company on a daily basis, not every tenant. Now, a lot of times every tenant knows them because they're good about getting out and getting to know all the people in the building. I'm sure you guys have, if you've been in office buildings, you go down to the lobby and every once in a while they do an ice cream social or they're handing out cookies.
Yeah, I like that, yeah.
Yeah, everybody likes that, right? That's how they usually get to know the tenants as managers. That's how they get to know most of the people.
And I will say this, for people and as a consumer, whether it's a restaurant, whether I'm in a building, in my office, all those things, one of the things I think that's important, and I don't know that you can train this, and from the person that's hiring people like you, I like when people smile. That makes you feel right. I mean, those of you that are watching on the YouTube channel, you could see Judine and Sean. They're smiling, and that just makes you feel good when you're interacting. It's like they're glad to see you.
We have a lot to smile about, though.
That's true.
We
That's
really
true.
do.
Yeah, no, it's just true.
The power of a smile, and that someone is glad to be there of service. And certain people are not right for the service industry. And I would think as you fine tune and find that right person, you want to have people that are willing to serve and that take joy in it.
No, 100%. Yeah. We like people to smile. That's for sure. And, definitely, I think more of the property management side, they're definitely usually pretty smiling, got a good smile on their face. Yeah. Engineers are usually a little more serious. So sometimes you get them to crack a smile is a little harder, but that's because they're serious because they're trying to figure out what the problems are. Right. Yeah. And so they just have their serious face on a lot, but no, that's very true. It's good to have a smiling face. People like it. We try to get out there and meet and greet people, and the demeanor on a property manager is very important during the interview process. Are they smiling? Are they engaged during an interview process? So, but I think that's a lot of jobs, right? And no one wants to hire the person that doesn't smile and doesn't engage during the interview, because if they're not smiling and engaging during the interview, they're probably definitely not going to smile and engage once you hire them.
A tremendous business lesson.
Yeah, if we can back up just a second. A few minutes ago, you mentioned that when you're interviewing somebody, you want to know what they do outside of the business. What do they do for fun? So I would like to throw that question at you. And what do you like to do for fun outside of real estate?
Well, one of the things I really enjoy doing is using Judine's Astros tickets to go to the games.
I have the best Astros tickets. I gave Bill some too, and you cannot beat my seats. They are just like right dead in the center.
Now we're all
seats.
smiling.
Oh yeah, food, all you can eat.
Oh no,
I love
that's
it.
great.
Ice cream bar, I love it.
If you want to go to an Astros game and you're in commercial real estate, go hire Judine and tell her you'll give her a lot of business and she will give you Astros tickets. Let me tell you, it's money well spent.
And you know what, Sean, just that you say that, I don't use them as a bribe. I give them to my customers for a thank you. I give them to you because you give us business. So I've always given them as a thank you, not as a bribe.
No, I know. No, you're very on the up and up for sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. But no, they are great seats. And Judine is very generous with them. I think everybody, like anybody that I know that uses Texas floor covering, has been to an Astros game probably and used their seats. And
I push our Astros all the time.
Yes. For me, I do have some hobbies. I do like to play golf when I can. And,
one of the first times I ever met him playing golf, he was wearing his UT red. Or orange.
Burnt orange, not red. Burnt orange.
Don't say red, huh? Don't say maroon. But that red hat, I saw him on and I thought it was his real hair.
Yeah, no, I have someone bought me a hat. I played softball years ago, and one of the young ladies I played softball with bought me. It was a fundraiser. I don't remember what they're raising it for, but you could buy these hats, and it looks like a visor with hair, and it's a burnt orange visor with white hair that has burnt orange tips on it sticking up.
And you could see it across the field.
What's the gentleman's name that does the Food Network that has the spiky hair that sticks up?
Guy Fieri.
It looks just like his hair, right? That's what it looks like.
I really thought it was real.
And you know what? You're not the only person. I've had that a lot.
He's actually a good golfer, but he's a clown and loves to have fun. And, you know, I mean, we've done a lot of crazy things out there on those charity tournaments, but you at the same time, you are a pretty good golfer.
Well, I try. But, and I enjoy it. Whether I'm hitting the ball well or not hitting the ball, I will. I definitely enjoy it. But yeah, no, that's an interesting hat.
I'm always out
I don't
there
wear
for the
that hat as
trophy.
much as I should. I probably need to pull it out. I still have it. I need to pull that out and start wearing it more because it definitely gets a lot of people coming up and going, "Is that your real hair?"
Now you
It's a conversation going, no, Bill wants one now.
I either want
You
one.
can buy him one.
There you go.
Either that or Judine, the next time Sean's on the show, he needs to wear it.
I'll bring it in. I'll
Absolutely.
wear it in.
YouTube.
There you go.
He's going to be our regular guest.
There you go. I'll
for
bring it
our
in for you.
YouTube viewers. So
It is, you know, so I got it playing softball, and it was so interesting because when we play other teams, I would almost every game, someone we hadn't played before go, "Is that your real hair?" And people on our team would just laugh. I'm like, "Are you serious?"
that's awesome.
It will just, you could, if you really think, I mean, it's white hair with orange tips on it, right? So who's going to go, what guy is going to go to all that trouble? Like maybe a lady, but not a guy.
I'm super
right?
curious now. So it must be a very convincing hairpiece
It
of
is.
sorts.
It really
I guess
is.
it is.
It's,
We
I
gotta
think
see
it's
it.
embedded into the hat.
It is.
We have to see it.
But
So
I do
meanwhile-
that. So I do golf when I can. Right now it's pretty hot in Houston, so not a lot of it right now. But fall, come around fall, I'll probably do a little more. A good place to take clients. I try to get clients out. Got a couple clients that really enjoy golf.
And we raise a lot of money too.
We do raise a lot of money on charity golf tournaments. I just had a charity golf tournament this weekend. I was up in Dallas, and I was with IREM in Dallas, so Institute of Real Estate Management in Dallas. Great golf tournament. Was pretty freaking hot, but the good thing was it was not too hot until about noon, and that's about when we finished, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, that was a fun time. I was up there doing some business, and that was part of my business was playing a little bit of golf. And then really my other big hobby, if you ask my wife, is buying real estate. So I buy personal real estate.
Houses.
And you own quite a
residential
few.
houses. And yeah, I've got, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's about 18
Wow.
residential properties that I buy. I buy dilapidated mostly. And I have a couple crews that go in and fix them up. And then we rent them out. And we try to stay in the value add region so that most people can afford them. I do have some little more expensive houses, but most of them are affordable by most people. So I try to stay in that realm most of the time. It's fun. I like it. I enjoy it.
Are they around the Houston area?
They're all around the Houston area. They're Navasota, Texas City. I have a couple in Houston. My latest purchase point is Port Arthur over by Beaumont. And so I've started buying over there. I have 4 or 5 over there.
So you're renting them out. Are you using any of them for the Airbnb and the short-term rentals?
You know, I've looked into
I
that.
hear a lot of people are doing that too.
There is. And, you know, I've looked at a couple, but haven't actually pulled the trigger on one for Airbnb yet. My wife is pushing me to get one that we could use and rent out for Airbnb. So I think in the near short future, I'll probably start doing a little bit of that. But I haven't quite yet. Most of mine are all long term. It's a little easier. I self-manage everything. You know, go figure. I have a management company, right? So I self-manage most of it, but I do it all myself. I don't have anybody actually working for me that are.
So how does that work? I mean, how do you balance those two things? I mean, you know, you've got your commercial real estate during the day, this at night, weekends. So you're just working around the clock all the time.
I work quite a bit. So on the residential side, I learned early on. I found a good handyman, 2 good handymen wherever I was buying. So it started in Texas City. Found a good handyman. Found a good electrician, good plumber, good HVAC, AC guy. So when I get a tenant calling me up and saying, "Hey, my sink's leaking," I call my plumber. "Hey, I need you to get out here and do this." And so that helps a lot. Everywhere I go, I kind of try to find those people. And so pretty much when someone says, "Hey, this is not working," I just call them up or text them and say, "Hey, I need you over at this house. There's an issue. Go take care of it." And most of them are pretty good at responding. They respond usually within 24, 40 hours. If it's an emergency, I'll pay them a little extra, and they'll go over there and do it pretty quick. But
So good at getting good people again.
very much, yeah. It's just
I mean, it's just all about the people.
it's all about good people, you know, and makes your life easier. Now I am to the point where I've got 18 of them, and I told myself at 10 I was going to hire somebody to run it, and I didn't. Then I told myself at 15 I was going to hire somebody to run it, and I didn't. And now I'm telling myself at 20 I'm going to hire somebody. So we'll see if I actually do it at 20.
So are you and Marguerite? Is Marguerite part of it?
Mm-hmm.
Margarita, is she part of it? Does she help you out with that? Or I'm sure this is y'all's retirement eventually, but does she help you in that? Because I know she was in property management there for a while as well, wasn't she?
Yeah, we actually met through IREM.
Okay,
So we met
good deal.
in the Institute of Real Estate Management at a lunch is how we met. And then we Facebook each other. That was back when Facebook first started. And so, but yeah, no, she gets a little involved. Really, no, my kids get more involved.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so my
Very
son likes
nice.
to do it. We just bought a place up on Livingston that I don't know that we'll rent out. We may just use it ourselves personally. But we just went up, my son and I went up for the whole weekend and we gutted the house out. And so he loves his favorite, obviously like a lot of people, he loves doing demo. Give him a hammer and tell him to start,
I love it too.
knocking everything down.
Frustrations.
Yeah,
Taking
exactly.
frustrations out.
He had a fun time doing that. We spent 2 days up there doing it. So he does it. But Margarita, she's actually, you probably know this, she does property tax consulting.
Okay.
And she works for a very large property tax consulting firm. So obviously she handles all of our property taxes.
Of course.
And does very well and keeps us. So her big contribution, which is a huge contribution, is keeping our taxes down, which makes us more money. And so she's very good at doing that. So that's her contribution. She does help with bits and pieces. She was in the multifamily, which relates more to the residential side.
Okay.
And so because of that, she's able to say, I know you have this issue, and this is how I would have handled it back when I was in multifamily. And sometimes I go, yeah, that's probably a better way to handle this, right? So she does throw it
Listen
in.
to your wife.
Yeah, oh yeah. Happy wife, happy life, right?
That's right.
So
that's right. But I love the fact that you got your kids involved because you know Michelle. I mean, he's known my daughter as long as he's known me, and she's been in this business, and she's just phenomenal. I mean, you can,
No, Michelle's great. No, I've dealt with Michelle a lot, and especially before she started having children, she was more available. But she's amazing. People always ask me, well, is it Judine or Michelle that you deal with? I said, well, I really deal with both. I said, if I need to get the colors right and I need to get the samples right, I go to Judine. If I need to figure out when the job's going to happen and how quickly it's going to get done, I go to Michelle.
Yeah. Michelle handles more of the scheduling part of it.
She's very good at keeping everything on
She is. I don't know how she remembers
that's
everything.
your daughter.
That's
Yeah.
my daughter.
How about that? Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Michelle's very good at the logistics side. She's really good at logistics.
yeah. And I'm more of the field person.
She is. Judine's the person everybody wants to see, the smiling face that comes in the door and says, I got this for you. I'm going to take care of it.
Yeah.
Sean, you have a full-time job and you have 18 homes. I mean, wait a second.
know,
There's a
it's
second
amazing.
full-time job. Let's tell people from a success standpoint, how do you make it all work? And your father, you're doing all these things. How do you arrange, because we all get the same amount of time. How do you arrange your schedule to be able to take care of your rental property, to perform at your job, and to keep the company going forward, and then have a little fun along the way?
Work-life balance. I mean, like
Is there
taking
such a thing?
Margarita
Yeah.
out for dinner every week. And
So, it's
What's the secret?
having a very good assistant and calendar. I really do.
That's awesome.
I have a very good assistant. She just started with me not that long ago, and she's very good. She'll be texting me here just a little bit because I have a meeting coming up to let me know that I need to be on a call here shortly. But she constantly tells me what to do. She keeps everything on my calendar. I do actually put date nights on my calendar. And so I will look at my calendar for the week and I will ask my wife, hey, how about we go to dinner on Wednesday, right? Because I know Wednesday's open. So there is that. I do spend, so on my residential side, I spend a lot of my weekend time on my residentials. My weekday time, I don't spend as much on it. So there's a work-life balance for sure. And that's why I was talking about hiring a property manager, someone to run it for me at some point. And I probably will do that pretty soon. I've been doing the residential thing now for about 5 or 6 years. And my goal was to buy 5 houses, and my goal was to buy 10 houses, and my goal was to buy 15, and now I'm at 18. So I don't know what my goal is at this point.
Do you stop at 18? You're going to be fine, or
he's
what?
not going to stop.
And now, it's interesting. So the original goal was if I get 10 houses and I can make about $500 a house profit, right? That's $5,000 a month.
That's nice.
Right? And so if I paid everything off, I could retire on $5,000 plus, 401ks and IRAs. And so my thought was if I do that, and then if I get a pinch, I can sell a house off, right? That was kind of my thought on it. And then after I got to 10 houses, I said, man, this is kind of fun, right? So I just kept
is.
buying. It is. You find that diamond in the rough that you get for a great deal, and it has great bones. You can make it look great, and somebody can live in it. And so you just keep going.
Before we close this segment, and yes, we have one more. We're going to come back, but let's tell people the website again. Your website, Sean, is?
LeeAndAssociatesHouston.com.
And president of Texas Floor Coverings, Judine. What's your website?
TexasFloorCovering.com.
TexasFloorCovering.com. Stay with us. We're coming right back. As we move from room to room, building to building, business to business, we are walking on floors of some type at all times. At Texas Floor Covering, we are there to serve you since 1989, helping you, whether you're an architect, designer, building manager, general contractor, a sports arena, government agency. We are there for your commercial flooring needs. Texas Floor Covering. Give us a call at 713-862-2444. That's 713-862-2444. Our website is TexasFloorCovering.com. That's TexasFloorCovering.com. Check us out. We are here for you, Texas Floor Covering. Welcome back, everybody. As we wind up the show, Judine.
I wanted to see if there was anything else that Sean would like to tell us about commercial real estate.
All I can say is find what makes you happy and have fun. I found commercial real estate, residential real estate. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the people that work with me. I really enjoy going after the residential real estate and finding it and turning it into something and watching a family live in it. But just commercial real estate, residential real estate it's not for everybody. If you want to try it, great. I think if you have interest in it, you should try it. But find what makes you happy and have fun.
Mm-hmm. My model is exactly.
That is great advice. Sean, you are with Lee and Associates. Let's tell people the website one more time. LeeAndAssociatesHouston.com. That's the and sign, not A&D. And the phone number?
713-744-7400.
And once again, there may be somebody out there listening that wants to be a part of the team, and it might be a great match. The phone number again is?
713-744-7400.
And Judine, Texas Floor Coverings. As we close your website, let's remind everyone.
Again, TexasFloorCovering.com, and the phone number is 713-862-2444.
And thank you all for listening to Successful Living with Bill Napick, and today with Judine Deacle, president of Texas Floor Covering, and Sean Harvey. That's right, he's with Lee and Associates. He's a senior managing director right there at Lee and Associates. Thank you all for listening to the show, Successful Living with Bill Napick. Simply go to radiobill.net, radiobill.net. That's right, we have 3 cameras here. I know you want to see what we all look like. Just go to radiobill.net. You'll see it all there on the YouTube channel. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week. And Judine's going to be coming back in a couple of weeks, right, Judine?
Yes.
We can't wait. See y'all next week.
Bill Napick has produced another show, Successful Living with Bill Napick, one of the most unique programs of its kind. Sundays from 6 to 7 p.m. on AM 950 KPRC. Successful Living with Bill Napick. Go to radiobill.net for more info. Go to radiobill.net for more info.